Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah Louise and I do videos on relationships, spirituality, health, wellness and anything else that I'm interested in at the time. So I wanted to talk about suppressing things rather than integrating them. And this never was so clear to me as when I spent time on an ashram doing my yoga teacher training. Like I could just sense the suppression everywhere. It's like no one could have sex at all, no one could drink coffee, no one could, they even got as far as to say you couldn't really leave the ashram because you'd be out in the energies of the real world. Well, I mean, why are we here? Why are we here then if we're not meant to kind of experience the real world? And whilst I do think it's important to monitor the energies that we have around us, I don't think you can just go around and completely suppress and cut out, experience that could help you to grow. But yeah, they just cut everything. Everything was cut. You couldn't eat garlic, you couldn't eat onion, like everything. And the whole place to me had like a massive energy of being repressed and suppressed. And it almost felt like these heavy old school religions. And I just didn't really get on with it, honestly. But it led me to thinking a lot about these, the way we suppress things and we just push it away. And I feel the same about Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't think you've really cured yourself if the only way, sorry, the screen's just suddenly gone dark. And now I've just knocked the camera. As you can see, everything I do is like 100% live. I don't do any editing. I just prefer to make videos that way. I don't know. I feel like eventually people are going to get really sick of all this really high production thing just for vlog videos. And especially when we get to AI and you can just put any old AI in things and have these like high quality productions where you'll just cut out and put places. I honestly think people are going to start craving authenticity and real things more. And we're living beings, we make mistakes, and I just prefer that myself. I prefer videos where mistakes are left in and it's a bit more organic, and maybe other people don't, but then they'll probably just click off anyway. But now I have completely lost where I was on the conversation. But I was talking about repression and how I feel that we just... Alcoholics Anonymous, that's where I was. So with Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't think you're really cured of a drinking problem or an addiction if the only way you can not drink is by just avoiding ever tasting a sip of alcohol. Like if it's properly integrated, you shouldn't be afraid of something. Like to be so afraid of something that you can't be near it, you have to cut it off. Like it just doesn't, to me, that doesn't represent that you've come out the other side completely. That represents that you're just repressing it. And you're not actually fully integrating, because once you've fully integrated something, it's like you just don't want it anymore, you don't crave it anymore. It's like relationships. Say, for example, you're always attracted to narcissists. You can't just be like, okay, I'm just going to avoid narcissists, because you'll feel a draw to them still. You'll feel an attraction to them still. You have to fully integrate it to the point where you're just not interested in a narcissist anymore. Like they literally don't interest you. You're not caught up by that energy, you're not craving it, you're not secretly drawn to it. And I'm a really big believer in not just suppressing things and pushing them away and just hiding from them. To me, that's not the way to grow. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I also was thinking about music, and I was talking with my boyfriend about this because we both like completely different music, and it actually made sense to me once I thought into it. So he likes this heavy metal, really angry stuff, or where it like juxtaposes from really beautiful. So we have a bit of a joke because he'll send me music and it all really nice at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, actually, this... and as all heavy metal songs go, suddenly it's like, and I feel like I'm getting a migraine. Whereas I don't like this music so much anymore, but I used to love pining love songs, and I used to, every time I was having, something on the twin flame journey where I was really, really devastated, I'd just be crying, and I'd have this music on really, really loud, and it would be all pining, and I'd be like crying in the car, and I'd have streams of tears. And when I realised about both of our childhoods, I realised that these were things that we'd had to suppress. So in my family, for example, emotions were not really expressed. My family didn't like emotions being expressed. They weren't really something that was kind of thought to be positive. It was thought that you were either putting it on to get out of a punishment, or that you just, stop crying kind of thing. Or so that was an emotion that I never felt comfortable doing. And I remember when I first had my awakening, that was what I did all the time, was I just cried. I just literally cried for about 7 months. I can actually remember it. Everywhere I went, and I just couldn't control it. I cried on the street. I would cry in the middle of like yoga classes. I actually tried to go on a date to get over my, who at that time I thought was my twin flame. And I just cried on the date. And, the poor guy, I'm sure that's a story maybe he still tells to this day, that I actually literally cried about somebody else but I just couldn't stop. That was my dark night of the soul. And I realized that I'd repressed that for like so many years. And that probably was why I listened to that kind of music, that emotional, sad, desperate music, because these musicians have channeled that into these songs, and then that's resonating with me. And funnily enough, now I don't really have that anymore. I don't really listen to that kind of music, and I've completely changed my music style. I now like a lot more sort of like chill, trip hop. I don't know, I've got a really varied music taste, and I always have, but that I definitely used to like, just that was what got me emotionally. And then my boyfriend, he suppressed anger, right? Like he has a lot of anger that he suppressed. And I guess that song, it's like a release for him. It's a way for him to like release that anger. And I do wonder if the kind of music that we listen to is something that we should look at and think that maybe these are the things that we're repressing, and we need to really integrate those things and get them out. I'm not saying if it's anger that you go and hit people, but you can scream, you can, scream along with the song. I used to cry along with the music. And, obviously you don't want to keep looping and going around in circles, but I actually think it's great to, release, because we've got to become like children. We've got to become where something can upset us, we can cry. We're not suppressing it, we're not hiding it, we just cry and we just move on. We get angry and we shout and then we move on. Like, we don't have to hold these things and suppress these things like society teaches us to, right? That we have to like suppress them and then they just eat away at you. You know what they say about holding a burning coal? That's what holding anger is like. It's like holding a burning coal. So I really think it's important that we get these things out in healthy ways. Like with anger, you've got boxing and things like that. And yeah, whatever is a way for you to just like get it out and release it and accept it, and not like try to hide from this emotion or think it's wrong or that you can't, there's sort of healthier ways to outlet these emotions than allowing them to fester till there's no choice but for them to come out in like a horrible way. And there's other ways to integrate as well. I can do other videos on that, but I just really think that this trying to suppress things and hide things, it's not really conducive for our overall spiritual growth. But anyways, I'm going to leave you with that now, and hope everyone is good, and chat soon. Bye.